Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Art of 3D Printing. Today's episode, have you ever just thought that manual bed leveling was just a real pain, and that after you scrape a print off the bed, you would have to re-level the bed because you're going to knock it out of alignment? And don't you wish there was a better way? Well, these guys, they've come up with a better way. And today, I'm going to show you how to install it on the Black Widow. We want to first download the STL for the mount. So we'll go to Thingiverse, and then we're going to type in Anycubic. They're the people who make the BLTouch. And then if we go down to this one here where it says TEVO Black Widow with Anycubic BLTouch, we'll click on that one. It was nice that they actually designed a mount and released it for the Black Widow. So we'll click download all files. And then once that's finished downloading, we're just going to unzip that folder. Going to open it up. And in the files section, you see here you've got a belt clip STL, a filament mount STL, and the TEVO BLTouch mount. So that's the one we're going to print. So we're going to set up our print now. We'll go into Cura. So now we're in Cura. So now I've got my machine set up to my Prusa Mendel because it's already got the BLTouch installed on it, so it's pretty much print and go compared to my Black Widow. So we're just going to set that up. Layer 2mm layer height, 4 outer perimeters, 5 bottom and top layers, fill density of 20. We actually make this 100%. Because we want it to be nice and stiff. I'm printing mine in ABS, so those are going to leave my printing temperature at 255 and my bed temperature at 110. And for support material, we won't need any. And my platform adhesion, I'm going to print it with a brim to try and stop it from warping. So that should be good. Now we're going to load our STL. Go to the folder where it's saved. Here we are. And that's what our mount looks like. So that's orientated in the right position there. The underside is actually the part that's going to face up. So your BLTouch will be mounted here. And then the wires will go through that hole. And then you can see these two slots here. They're actually wider underneath. So that's where your M4 hex nuts will go through. And then the screws go through the backside here. I'll show you guys a quick time lapse of that printing, and then we will mount it to mount the BLTouch to the bracket, and then the bracket to the printer. Okay guys, so here's our bracket all printed up. Came out pretty good. I mean, I probably wouldn't recommend printing this with ABS because mine did warp slightly. I don't know if you can tell there, but that surface isn't perfectly flat. It should be fine, but I definitely say, I mean, PLA would be fine for this print. There's not a huge amount of stresses or anything that's going to go into it, and PLA is really rigid and stiff, so PLA should be fine. So we got our bracket there, got our BLTouch. And then we need, these are two M4 16s with M4 hex nuts. And then you're going to need 2 washers that'll fit those screws. And then with the BLTouch in the little bag, you get these I want to say they're M2.5s, these really small washers. So you're going to put the washer on, just like that. And you've got the other one here as well. And then you've got the 2 M2.5 hex nuts. Okay, so now to attach the BLTouch, you want these horizontal support braces, they go on the bottom. So we're going to attach the BLTouch to the same side as those. So we're going to feed the wires through the hole and then line it up so that the BLTouch faces out. And then with these M2.5s, we're just going to put them through the bottom so the washer goes on the top. And then we're going to put our M2.5 nut. Finger tight's fine for now. You'll do the same on the other side. And then you just want to tighten these up. They don't have to be crazy tight, just tighten it so that the BLTouch doesn't move. Just like that. There we go, and our BLTouch is nice and solid. So that's pretty much the BLTouch installed. Now we just want to, from the top side, we're going to drop the M4 hex nuts into the slots. And then these will go through the mounting plate on the printer into there like that. But before we go over to the printer, we want to make up, so I've gone and got one of these servo extensions. You can get them from any of your hobby stores. Sometimes they can be pretty pricey. I mean, you could easily make one up yourself with 3 wires and 2 connectors. That's to extend the servo wire on the BLTouch so it can go through the drag chain into the control box. So I've got, well, that's a 90 centimeter one. It seems to be long enough. And then you want to go and make one of these. So now the BLTouch comes with a bag of a whole bunch of connectors and terminals that you have to crimp on. So I've gone and made with this black and white wire just an extension that is the same length as the servo extension that I've got, and I've crimped on and put on one of these 2-pin DuPont connectors on the one side. So then this join-in thing here will slide into there, and then you'll be able to connect that to the other one on the BLTouch, just like that. Just like that. And then this side here, I've gone and put 2 of the connector, the DuPont terminal crimps on there, but instead of putting the actual covering on of the DuPont connector, I'm just going to get some small thin heat shrink and heat shrink over those, because then they're a lot easier to plug onto the control board pins without that connector, and they fit a lot better with the heat shrink. And then once we've done that, we're going to go over to the printer. Okay guys, so now here we are at the printer, and we've got our BLTouch mounted onto our bracket and our 2 M416 screws. We want to just slide the washers over onto the screw, and then you want to put them through these 2 holes here. We're going to put one through like that, and then we're going to put that on, mount the bracket on. Just loosely put them on for now, just so you can get them into the bolt, into the nut. Same on the other one. Okay, so now we've got them lightly screwed in there. Just going to take my screwdriver and tighten these just a bit. I'm just going to tighten the one, and I'm going to push the BLTouch as high as it can go. Okay guys, I found the easiest way to do this, to set the right height for the nozzle, for the BLTouch, is to lower the Z-axis until the nozzle's just touching the heat bed, and then you want to adjust the height of this bracket so that it's 2 millimeters above the bed. Roughly 2 millimeters, it doesn't have to be exact. That should be spot on. Okay, so now we're just going to make sure that bracket is as level as possible, just by adjusting it back here. So we've got that bracket nice and level, and the pin at its retracted point is now 2 millimeters above the nozzle. Okay, now we're going to grab our extension servo lead and we're going to plug them in. We've got that guy in there, and then our one that we've made up, this black and white one, we're going to match the black and white cables, plug them in there. So now you should be able to just route these wires around the back, and then they should go into your cable chain, just like that, and then down into your control box. Now I'm not going to route them through the cable chain because this BLTouch is actually reserved for another one of my printers, so I'm just showing you guys for demonstrator purposes. But yeah, you want to route your extension cables all the way through the drag chain just to keep it nice and neat. Set up the firmware for the BLTouch. So now in your downloaded folder that we got from Thingiverse, in the files section, there's this Marlin RCS7 TEVO BLTouch. We're going to unzip that, and you get a whole bunch of these libraries and all that. And then this is your Marlin RCS7. So what you can do is, I haven't tried it, I don't know if it works or not, but you can try uploading this firmware to your control board and running that and seeing if it works. But I prefer to use the original firmware and we'll just edit it ourselves. So I'm going to go to Facebook. And then we're going to go to the TEVO Black Widow Facebook page. We're going to click on Files. And then if we go to Uploaded Files, we're going to scroll down to this one here where it says blackwidow.zip. We're going to click Download, and you're going to unzip it. And then once we've downloaded that, we're going to open that up. And then in the Marlin software, or in the Marlin file, we're going to go to this marlin.ino file, and we're going to open that up. So now you're going to need the Arduino IDE to open that up. If you want to download that, just go to the Arduino website. Okay, so now we've got this open up here. This is the standard firmware that comes preloaded on the Black Widow printers. So we're going to click Configuration tab. I'm going to scroll down. We should see here where it says Z min end stop inverting. I'm going to change this to false because that doesn't, the BLTouch doesn't need to be inverted. Keep going down. So now we've got Z probe options. So now we've already got this Zmin probe uses Zmin end stop pin. We want to define that, so that's already defined. Keep going down. Now we've got the auto bed leveling section. So now the first thing we're going to do is uncomment this. So we want to define auto bed leveling feature, and we've already got the define Zmin probe repeatability test, which we'll use later. So that's defined. And now you've got two grid modes. You've got two auto bed leveling modes. The first mode is grid mode, which we'll be using. That's where you set a number of points in it. So if it's 5 points, it'll be a grid of 5 by 5. So that's 25 different points. And what it does is for each block, it creates a plane. And then as the nozzle moves over that plane, the Z height adjusts for the different angles of the plane. That's how the auto bed leveling feature works. So in this left probe bed position, or this bed leveling grid, we want to change this. So this I'll put at 55 because it needs to be bigger than our offsets, which we'll discuss later. So that's 310, this is 25, this is 230. Then our minimum bed probe edge, I'll put this at 20 just to be safe. And then our auto bed leveling grid points, we've got at 5, which is recommended from Anycubic for the BLTouch on the Black Widow. So now this X probe offset from extruder, this needs to be 48, which means positive 48 means it's 4.8 centimeters to the right of the extruder nozzle. The Y is minus 18, so it's 18 millimeters in front of that. And then our Z probe offset we're going to set at 0, just because that's what we're going to adjust to get the nozzle just at the right height above the bed. Z raise before probing, we've got 10. Z raise between probing, we've got 5. And then Z raise after probing, we've got 10. So that's all right. We've got Z safe homing enabled already. So that means that it'll only home the Z axis and it'll move the extruder to the center of the bed so that your probe is always above the bed. We'll keep going down. We'll go past the LCD support all the way down to pretty much the bottom. Get to extra features. And then we get to the servo section where we want to define, uncomment this part here where it says define number of servos. We'll change that to 1. And then we're going to uncomment this define Z end stop servo. And this servo end stop angles, we're going to change these to 10 and 90. Because that's specific to the BLTouch. And that's pretty much it for this configuration. Now we're going to go to the configuration advanced tab. We'll scroll down. We want to go to the mechanical settings part. So mechanical settings. We're going to go down to where it says X home bump 5 millimeters, Y home bump 5 millimeters, Z home bump. We're going to change that from 2 to 5. That just means that it's going to home, and once it hits the end stop first and then bumps back up 5 millimeters, that 5 millimeters just gives it a little bit extra room to drop the pin again. Otherwise you'll get an error reading and it just all goes wrong. Okay, now that should be it. We'll just hit compile or verify, so that it'll try compiling the sketch and see if there's any errors. There shouldn't be, but we'll see. Okay, so that's done compiling. Now what we'll do is we'll connect our computer to our printer through the USB, and then we're going to go to tools. We're going to choose our board. So our board is the Mega 2560. We're going to go to the processor. Same thing, Mega 2560. And then the port, this port should be the same, so it should be the same port name as the one you see in Prontoface. So we'll click on that one there, and then we're going to click upload. And it's going to compile the sketch, make sure there's no errors, which we checked earlier, there shouldn't be, and then it's going to upload to the board. Okay, so now that's done uploading, we can exit the Arduino software, and we want to open up our print run or Prontoface. And before we connect, we just want to turn on our 3D printer so we have power going to the step motors. We're going to click connect. Okay, and so now you've got all your EEPROM values here again, except you'll notice this time that you've got a new one called Z probe offset, and that tells you that your current offset is 0, which is what we set in the firmware. So that's what we're going to adjust soon. But first we're just going to go G28 just to double check whether our BLTouch is now being used as our Z min end stop. So we're just going to hit G28 to home. So the pin gets deployed. And our BLTouch seems to be working as our Z min end stop. Okay, so next we're going to do is what they call the Z probe repeatability test that tests the accuracy of your probe. So we're just going to go, I think it's M48 P4 X, for our situation it is 150, Y 130, V2, E, L2, and then we click enter, and now it's going to just probe the same point multiple times and then calculate the differences in the Z heights and give us a mean and a standard deviation of our probe sensor. Okay, so now we've got our results back. Now the mean value you don't have to worry about, but the standard deviation is the important one. So you can see mine down here is 0.010201 millimeters. That value is in millimeters. So now that's pretty accurate. I mean, ideally you want your value to be less than 0.03 or around 0.03, nothing higher, because it just tends to get really inaccurate then. So that just means that my Z height will be plus or minus 0.01, which is a 20th of my layer height. So that's pretty accurate. It should work well enough. So now we're gonna set our Z offset. So we're gonna just do another G28 Z0 this time. So that'll just home the Z axis. Okay, then we're going to go G1 Z0, so that'll bring us down to our, what they think is Z0. And then you just want to have a look at your nozzle and just guesstimate how high above the bed it is. So I'm going to say mine is about 1.8, just less than 2 millimeters. So we're going to change our Z offset, so we're going to go M851 Z minus 1.8. And then we hit enter. So that's changed our Z offsets to minus 1.8, which means whatever our Z probe, whatever it thinks our Z is, it's going to go lower by 1.8 millimeters. So then we'll go G28 Z0 again. So that's going to home our Z axis. And then we're going to go G1 Z0. So now the nozzle's touching the bed, so that's a little bit too low, so I'm going to bring it up, so G1 Z0.5, and that just brings the nozzle off the bed. So we're going to go G1 Z0.4, and now the nozzle, in my opinion, I can just see a little bit of daylight between the nozzle and the bed, so I'm going to try that as a Z offset. So we're going to go G20, we're going to go M851 Z. So now our current Z offset is minus 1.8. So now we want to make it 0.4 millimeters less. So we're going to go Z minus 1.4. So it'll be 0.4 millimeters higher than it was. M500 G28 Z0 to home the Z axis again. Now for this one, I'm just going to grab a piece of paper and put it under the nozzle, just like that. And then I'm going to hit G1 Z0. And then we'll test to see whether the paper has enough friction, if the nozzle's too close to the bed or not. So as you can see, the paper still moves, but there's a little bit of friction there, so that seems to be right. Now I'm just going to hit G28 again, and that'll home all the axes. And now we're going to do a test print to just see how well the auto bed leveling works, and if our Z offset is set correctly. Okay guys, so now we're just going to set up our first test print to test our Z offsets and our auto bed leveling. So we're going to go to Thingiverse, and we're going to type in bed level calibration test. And what you get is this. It's got 9 different blocks. We want to click on that one, and we're going to download that. We're going to unzip that folder, and we've got it there. So we can exit our browser, we can open up Cura, and we're going to make sure that our Black Widow printer is selected, and we're going to load. Click on load, go to the folder where we saved our bed leveling calibration. So we've got the STL there, and there we go. So now that's loaded in. So now layer height 0.2, shell thickness, it doesn't matter because there's only one layer. All of this doesn't matter. So our print speed is 60. Doesn't matter because we've got our advanced settings here where our initial layer is 20, so it's going to be 20 millimeters per second. I'm printing in PLA, so it's 220 with a bed temperature of 60. Flow rate's 100. We just want to change our start and end G code. So in here you can see in our start G code, I've gone and entered, so here where it says home all axes, I've gone and changed that to G28, which is a standard home, and then I've gone and put G29, which is the auto bed leveling command feature after that. Then this G92E0 is just set extruded to 0. G1E0 means that, no, G1Z0 means go to Z0. G1E5, which means extrude 5 millimeters of plastic, then reset the extruder again, and then retract 5 millimeters of plastic. That's just to prime the nozzle, and then set it back to 0, and then it'll continue to go through the printing setup. So that we just want to change our G code. Mainly, I mean, you can do what you want with your extruder, something like that. If you know the different commands from G code, you can enter whatever you want. But the main point is that you want this G29 after your home function. So you want your printer to home first, and then do the auto bed leveling setup, and then start printing. So you'll see once we start the print that it'll home first, and then it'll go through the auto bed leveling. Everything's fine. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to Prontoface, and we're gonna click set our heat to 220 and our bed to 70. And then so I've already preset those, so it's all ready to go. And then we're going to hit print with USB. I'm going to hit connect, so it should just connect now. Oh, sorry. You have to disconnect from Prontoface before you can connect. So we'll click connect again. And it should take, it says it's going to take 11 minutes, so it's not the longest of prints. So now that that's all set, we will click print. Okay, so once it gets up to temperature, it's just going to do a home. And then because we added in the G29 command into the start G code, it's now going to do the auto bed leveling probing sequence. So this could take a while because it's 5 by 5 points, so it's 25 points of doing this. So I'll skip through to the end of the probing sequence and then you can see the print. There we can see it's printing, so we'll let this print, and then once it's finished we can then assess how well the auto bed level works. And as you can see guys, each and every little square printed beautifully. So that just proves that the auto bed leveling feature works. Works really well once you get that Z offset dialed in. You can see the layers are nice and smooth and even. I mean, the flow rate was set at 100, so it's probably over extruding a little bit, but I'll cover that in my how to calibrate your flow rate video. Well guys, that turned out to be a whole lot easier than I thought. I mean, these prints here, I mean, this was first time. I got this right the first time. Most of my other ones, I mean, on the other printers that I've installed a BLTouch on, you have to kind of tweak that Z offset so you get it the right height. I mean, obviously today I got it right the first time, so I mean, if you don't get it right the first time, don't be too disheartened, because you can always just the thing is to go back into the prontiface and use that M851 command and just tweak it just so you get the right level. But these ones, I mean, they're all stuck down the right amount. They're all nice and smooth. I mean, some of them are a bit over extruded. So I hope you guys learnt a lot. I hope you guys get your BLTouches installed on your all 3D printers. I mean, this video was mainly for the Black Widow users. Yeah, so I hope you guys get them installed right. And so guys, if you enjoyed this video and you found it really helpful, I mean, I've got a whole bunch of other videos coming out. So hit that like button and that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on The Art of 3D Printing.